There comes a defining moment in life when waiting for confidence just doesn't work anymore. You've tried to feel ready, secure, confident, and nothing changed. Because the truth is harsh, but freeing. No one builds a great life by waiting to believe in themselves. People who reach their goals don't start out confident. They start out determined. And confidence comes later, as a result of action. Forcing yourself to believe in yourself isn't lying. It's about tuning out the insecure voice that's always kept you small. It's acting even when you're scared, moving forward even while shaking, standing by your decisions even when your mind begs you to quit. Every woman who seems confident today was once full of doubts. The difference is, she didn't negotiate with them. If you want to reach all your goals, you need to stop waiting for perfect validation, the ideal moment, or complete courage. Self-confidence isn't a feeling, it's a daily choice. And when you choose to act like someone who believes, your life starts to respond. If this message hits home, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and stick with me, because the next steps will show you how to build confidence that doesn't depend on anyone but you. Step 1. Stop negotiating with your self-sabotage. Most people don't fail because they lack ability, but because they negotiate too much with their own insecurity. You wake up determined, make a plan, feel ready to move forward, and then your mind kicks in with, maybe tomorrow, I'm not ready yet, what if it goes wrong? And without realizing it, you accept that silent agreement that keeps you stuck in the same place. I lived like that for a long time. Every time something important came up, I'd find an elegant excuse to postpone. It wasn't laziness, it was fear disguised as caution. And the problem with negotiating with fear is that it's never satisfied. The more you give in, the more it asks. Before you know it, your entire life revolves around avoiding discomfort instead of chasing your goals. The turning point came when I understood one simple thing. Fear doesn't need to disappear for you to act. It just needs to stop making your decisions for you. From that day on, I created a personal rule. Every time self-sabotage showed up, I'd take one small step forward, even if I was trembling. It didn't have to be perfect. It had to get done. That's how I started to build real confidence. Not the kind that comes from motivational quotes, but the kind that's born from repeated action. Every time I didn't negotiate with insecurity, something inside me got stronger. I was proving to myself that I could be trusted. If you want to achieve all your goals, you have to stop arguing with the part of you that wants to keep you small. Self-sabotage doesn't disappear, but it loses its power when you act in spite of it. Comment, I don't negotiate with fear anymore. That sentence marks the beginning of your non-negotiable stance toward your own life. Step 2. Prove to yourself that you follow through. Self-confidence doesn't come from motivation or high self-esteem. It comes from alignment. You believe in yourself when you do what you said you would, and you lose that confidence every time you make a promise and don't keep it. Small broken promises each day build a weak, insecure identity that even you stop believing in. I realized this when I saw that my biggest disappointment didn't come from others. It came from me. I'd say I'd start something on Monday, that I'd change a habit, that I'd try again, and I'd quit. Not because I couldn't do it, but because I didn't stick to my own words. And that creates a silent effect. Your mind learns it can't count on you. The change began when I made a simple deal with myself, only promise what I could deliver. Instead of giant goals, I started with small but non-negotiable commitments. 10 minutes a day, one concrete action, one possible step, and every day I followed through. At first it seemed insignificant, but within weeks, something powerful happened. I started to feel reliable, and that feeling changes everything. When you trust yourself, fear shrinks, doubt weakens, and action flows more naturally. Because you know that even if things go wrong, you won't abandon yourself. If you want to achieve all your goals, stop trying to impress the world and start honoring the commitments you make to yourself. Real confidence is built in silence through consistency. Comment, I trust myself because I keep my promises. That sentence strengthens the foundation of your true self-confidence. Step 3. Act before you feel confident. That's how confidence is born. One of the biggest misconceptions about self-confidence is thinking it comes before action. It doesn't. It never has. Confidence is built after you do something despite fear. Those who wait to feel confident before taking action end up frozen, watching life pass them by while rehearsing courage in their heads. I learned this in the most uncomfortable way. There was a moment when I knew exactly what I needed to do, but I kept putting it off because I didn't feel ready. I kept telling myself, once I feel more secure, I'll do it. The problem was that security never came. Until one day I understood something simple. No one feels confident before the first time. Confidence only shows up after you survive the experience. That's when I decided to flip the script. Instead of waiting for confidence, I started acting through the discomfort. I sent messages with trembling hands, made decisions with a racing heart, spoke up even when my voice shook. And every time I did it, something changed inside me. That sense of not enough started to shrink. Not because the fear went away, but because I was proving to myself that I could handle it. True confidence isn't the absence of fear, it's being familiar with it. It's knowing it'll show up, but it won't stop you. Every action taken in spite of fear strengthens your identity. Every step taken before you feel ready prepares you more than any amount of overplanning ever could. If you want to reach all your goals, you have to stop waiting to feel confident and start acting like someone who learns along the way. That's how strong women are built, through practice, not imagination. You know what I notice in so many strong, intelligent, dedicated women? They believe in their potential, but still feel stuck when it comes to money. It's that quiet fear of not being able to maintain what they've built, of not handling it alone, of needing someone else to feel protected. And that fear eats away at self-confidence from the inside. Because it doesn't matter how much you believe in yourself if, deep down, you still feel like money has power over you, instead of the other way around. I lived that. There were times when I felt capable of anything, but a single financial worry could make my strength vanish. And I realized, it wasn't the money itself, it was the meaning I had attached to it. The emotional weight of a story where money always meant tension, guilt, or lack. Once I saw that, it became clear. You can't build a confident life if your relationship with money still makes you feel small. That's why I created the Wealth Code, a guide made for women who want to heal that relationship and finally feel peace and security with their finances. It teaches you, in a simple and accessible way, how to turn money into a tool for freedom, not fear. It's about learning to feel safe, independent, and at ease with your choices. If you want to live without that constant worry and have the peace of knowing you can choose your own path, the link is in the pinned comment. Step 4. Stop asking for permission to exist on a bigger scale. Many women say they don't believe in themselves, but what's really going on is that they're still waiting for permission. Permission to try. Permission to make mistakes. Permission to want more. It's like, deep down, you're waiting for someone to say it's okay to take up more space in the world. And meanwhile, your goals get delayed. Not because you're incapable, but because you haven't been approved. I saw this in myself when I realized how much I softened my words, my dreams, even my ambitions, just to avoid bothering anyone. I wanted to grow, but I wanted to grow in moderation. I wanted to reach my goals, but without seeming like too much. And that self-censorship looked like humility, but it was really fear of judgment. And constant fear weakens any form of self-confidence. The turning point came when I understood. No one is coming to give me permission to live fully. The women I admired didn't have more talent or less fear. They just stopped asking for permission. They launched projects without consensus, took a stand without everyone's approval, owned their desires without apologizing. And that's what moved them forward. When you stop asking for permission, something inside you shifts. Your posture changes. Your voice grows firmer. Your goals stop feeling too big and start feeling inevitable. Confidence grows when you take full responsibility for your own life. If you want to reach all your goals, stop shrinking yourself to fit other people's expectations. Believing in yourself is an act of courage and of freedom. Comment, "I don't ask for permission anymore." That sentence marks the moment you claim your right to live the life you want. Step 5. Stand by your decisions even when no one validates them. One of the biggest tests of self-confidence happens after the decision. It's not the moment you choose something, it's the days that follow, when silence shows up, when no one comments, when no one claps, when it feels like you're the only one who believes in what you're doing. That's when many women give up, not because the decision was wrong, but because they were waiting for external validation to keep going. I lived that very clearly. I made an important decision thinking I'd get instant support. Instead, I was met with silence, confused looks, zero encouragement. In those first few days, I almost backed out, not because I doubted my goal, but because I started doubting myself. That's when I realized, if I only move forward when I'm validated, then I was never truly free. True self-confidence is born when you learn to stand by your choices without applause. When you keep going without an audience. When you understand that not every step needs to be understood now in order to be right. Women who reach their goals learn to trust their vision more than other people's temporary opinions. Standing by your decisions is like a muscle. At first it hurts. It feels lonely. But over time, it strengthens something powerful inside you. The certainty that you won't abandon yourself just because someone doesn't agree. And when that certainty settles in, your energy shifts, your posture changes, your results follow. If you want to achieve all your goals, you need to learn to keep going even when the world doesn't react. External silence isn't a sign of failure. Many times it's a sign of growth. Comment, I stand by my decisions. That phrase reinforces the foundation of a confidence that doesn't rely on anyone else's opinion. Step 6. Train your mind not to quit when things get uncomfortable. Most people don't fail because they don't believe in themselves. They fail because they give up too soon. They quit when it gets uncomfortable. They quit when they get tired. They quit when they realize the path demands more than just initial excitement. And that's the moment where the difference begins to show, between people who reach their goals and people who only dream about them. I noticed this in my own patterns. Whenever things got tough, I took the discomfort as a sign I was on the wrong path. I'd think, maybe this isn't for me. Or, if it were the right path, it wouldn't feel this hard. And every time I stepped back, I reinforced the idea that I wasn't strong enough. Until I understood one simple truth. Discomfort isn't a sign of failure. It's a sign of growth. The shift came when I changed my internal question. Instead of asking, why is this so hard? I started asking, what is this teaching me? That changed my entire relationship with effort. I began to see discomfort as part of the process, not as a reason to quit. And interestingly, once I stopped running from it, it became more bearable. Women who reach their goals aren't more motivated. They're more emotionally trained. They know the discomfort will come, but they also know it will pass. And while it passes, they keep going. One day at a time. One step at a time. If you want to reach all your goals, you need to stop interpreting difficulty as incapacity. Persistence isn't about extreme strength. It's about not quitting halfway through. Comment, I keep going even when it's uncomfortable. That phrase strengthens the part of you that stays committed when the journey demands maturity. Step 7. Stop confusing doubt with intuition. One of the biggest saboteurs of self-confidence is believing that every doubt is a sign to stop. It's not. Most of the time, doubt is just fear pretending to be wisdom. Intuition is calm, steady, and clear. Doubt is noisy, anxious, and full of what-ifs. When you learn to tell the difference, your confidence stops rising and falling with every negative thought. It took me a while to get this. Every time a big idea came up, or a bold decision, or a step outside my comfort zone, doubt would show up loud and strong. And I'd tell myself I was being cautious. But looking back, I can see that many times I was just avoiding growth. Doubt kept me safe, but also stuck. The turning point came when I started paying attention to my body. Intuition felt like a quiet yes, even when I was scared. Doubt felt like tension, confusion, and a strong urge to delay. When I learned to listen for that difference, I stopped abandoning decisions that made sense, just because my mind was screaming. Women who believe in themselves aren't the ones who never doubt. They're the ones who don't let doubt take the lead. They feel fear, they question, they think it through, but they choose to move forward when something feels right deep down. That constant choice builds a deep, steady, and unshakable confidence. If you want to reach all your goals, you need to learn to trust your intuition even when doubt shows up. It always shows up. What changes is who you let make the call. Comment, I trust my intuition. That phrase strengthens your inner connection and quiets the voice trying to pull you off your path. Step 8. Take action, even when your mind tries to pull you back. There's a specific moment in every journey when the mind goes into defense mode. It starts listing risks, worst-case scenarios, potential failures. It sounds rational, even wise, but most of the time it's just fear trying to keep you in familiar territory. Women who believe in themselves don't eliminate that voice. They learn not to obey it. I noticed this during a phase when everything seemed aligned, but something inside me wanted to retreat. There were no clear signs of danger, just restlessness. My mind said things like, better to wait. What if you regret this? Why put yourself out there now? And for a few days I almost gave in, until I asked myself, what would I actually lose by moving forward? And the answer was clear, nothing but my old comfort zone. So I chose to act despite the mental noise. I took the step. I spoke up. I did what needed to be done, even while feeling uncertain. And as always happens when you move through fear, reality was far less threatening than my mind made it out to be. It wasn't easy, but it was freeing. And every time I chose to act, something inside me got stronger. The mind protects. Confidence builds. When you learn to take action even as your mind tries to pull you back, you stop being a hostage to your own thoughts. And that changes your entire relationship with your goals. If you want to reach all your goals, stop waiting for your mind to be quiet before taking action. The calm comes after the action, not before. Comment: I move forward despite fear. That sentence reinforces your decision not to retreat when life asks you to grow. Step 9. Rebuild your identity based on what you do, not what you feel. One of the biggest mistakes about self-confidence is thinking it depends on how you feel. But feelings are unstable. They change with the day, your mood, or your energy level. If you build your identity around how you feel, you'll live in constant swings. Confident today, insecure tomorrow. Women who reach their goals do the opposite. They build identity based on what they do, not what they feel. I understood this when I realized there were days when I didn't feel like doing anything. No confidence, no clarity, no motivation. And on those days, I used to quit. Until I saw a dangerous pattern. Every time I waited to feel good before acting, I reinforced the identity of the woman who backs down. That's when I decided to flip the logic. I started acting based on who I chose to be, not how I was feeling in that moment. On hard days, I still showed up. Maybe I did less. Maybe I went slower. But I did it. And that had a powerful effect. Even when my emotions were low, my actions stayed aligned with my goals. And slowly, something began to rebuild inside me. A stable identity. I no longer depended on my mood to move forward. When you act consistently, over and over, your mind starts to understand who you really are. And that understanding is more powerful than any positive affirmation. You don't need to feel confident to be confident. You need to act like someone who doesn't abandon herself. If you want to achieve all your goals, stop waiting to feel something different and start behaving differently. That's what creates long-term results. Comment: I act in alignment with who I chose to be. That sentence anchors your new identity, no matter the emotional ups and downs. Step 10. Decide that you're not going back to the version of you who doubts herself. There is a definitive moment in every transformation, the point of no return. Not because everything is perfect, but because you refuse to live as someone who doesn't trust herself ever again. This step isn't about perfection, it's about commitment. It's when you understand that you might stumble, but you're never abandoning yourself again. I felt that moment clearly. It wasn't on a special day or after a big win. It was on an ordinary day, tired, overwhelmed, with too much on my plate. And even then, I realized I no longer wanted to be the woman who shrinks, who hesitates, who gives up on herself. That version had already cost me too many dreams. So I made a quiet decision. No matter what happens, I keep going. And something shifts when that decision is real. You stop dramatizing obstacles. You stop negotiating with limiting thoughts. You stop romanticizing the past. You start acting with more strength because you know there's no longer an option to return to who you used to be. That choice creates solid ground within. A stability that doesn't rely on motivation or external support. The strongest confidence isn't the loud kind. It's the kind that stays. The kind that holds firm on good days and especially on hard ones. When you decide not to go back, your goals stop being distant dreams. They become inevitable paths. Comment: I'm not going back to the version of me who doubts herself. That sentence seals the decision that changes everything. Believing in yourself is not arrogance. It's emotional survival. It's choosing to stop betraying yourself to please others, to stop postponing things to avoid disappointment, to stop waiting just to avoid being vulnerable. Throughout these steps, you've learned that confidence doesn't come from feelings, but from action. Not from approval, but from alignment. Not from the absence of fear, but from the courage to move forward anyway. When you choose to believe in yourself every day, even without guarantees, something powerful happens. Your life starts to match the woman you've decided to become. And achieving your goals is no longer some distant possibility. It becomes a natural result. If this video spoke to you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and drop in the comments. I trust myself, and I'll see it through to the end. Because from the moment you stop doubting yourself, there are no real limits to what you can build.